Hi, I'm Jill Heinerth, and this is an imagination video. I'm the author of Into the Planet, My Life as a Cave Diver, and I'm going to share with you some readings and some commentary answering questions from people who've sent them in. So here we go, Into the Planet. This is from the prologue. If I die, it will be in the most glorious place that nobody has ever seen. I can no longer feel the fingers in my left hand. The glacial Antarctic water has seeped through a tiny puncture in my formerly waterproof glove. If this water were 1/10 of a degree colder, the ocean would become solid. Fighting the knife-edged freeze is depleting my strength, my blood vessels throbbing in a futile attempt to deliver warmth to my extremities. The archway of ice above our heads is furrowed like the surface of a golf ball carved by the hand of the sea. Iridescent blue, wedgewood, azure, cerulean, cobalt, and pastel robin's egg meld with chalk and silvery alabaster. The ice is vibrant, bright, and at the same time ghostly, shadowy. The beauty contradicts the danger. We are the first people to cave dive inside an iceberg, and we may not live to tell the story. It's February, in the middle of what passes for summer in Antarctica. My job for National Geographic is to lead an advanced technical diving team in search of underwater caves deep within the largest moving object on Earth, the B-15 iceberg. I had known that diving into tunnels inside this giant piece of ice would be difficult, but I hadn't calculated that getting out would be nearly impossible. The tidal currents accelerated so quickly that they've caged us inside the ice. We're trapped in this frozen fortress, and I have to figure out how to escape. That was reading from Into the Planet, My Life as a Cave Diver from the prologue. And that was about an expedition in 2001 when I led a National Geographic team to be the first people to cave dive inside an iceberg. And this iceberg was the largest piece of ice ever seen on the planet, the largest moving object on the planet. It was the size of Jamaica or Connecticut, huge. And we wondered, when this broke away from the Ross Ice Shelf and started its journey into the Southern Ocean, what would happen? Would it drag with it a biological wake of animals from Antarctica? We just didn't know. This was all completely new stuff. As a cave diver, I am, uniquely qualified, I guess, to deal with these really challenging environments, like diving inside an iceberg, diving inside of caves all around the world. I travel to places like, underneath the Sahara Desert, in the Ural Mountains of Siberia, in caves that are so remote, you're hours from the nearest, town or city. These expeditions take me into situations of great isolation, of great risk, challenge, uncertainty, all things that we're really dealing with today, right now, in our daily lives. I mean, we're all isolated in these dark caves of our home, fearful of what comes next, unable to move forward because of change. That's a lot of what I write about in Into the Planet. It's a book that's about the unique places that I go. It's about adventure and science and challenge, but it's also about a really deep look into the human soul and how we deal with these uncertainties and fear and use an explorer's mindset to have enlightenment and discovery and move forward when we feel like we just want to like hide in the bed under the covers. Let me read to you another passage. This is also from the prologue, and it really answers one of the number one questions I get from people, like why do you do this? Why do you take on such danger? So here we go. I believe in the purpose of my work. Caves have always been a source of fascination for humanity, but their extensive exploration is somewhat recent. Underwater caves are one of the last frontiers of discovery on Earth. Surprisingly, we know more about outer space than inner Earth, and this is a problem. With each season that passes, the science of water moving underground becomes more and more relevant as we try to protect our most vital resource. My highly specialized skill set allows me to be a scientist's eyes and hands underwater. And I often work with biologists discovering new species, physicists tracking climate change, and hydrogeologists examining our finite freshwater reserves. I've found grim sources of underwater pollution, the roots of life inside Antarctic icebergs, and the skeletal remains of Maya civilizations in the cenotes, or sinkholes, of the Yucatan Peninsula. Underwater caves are museums of natural history, protecting rare life forms that tell us about evolution and survival. In a workday, I might swim through the veins of Mother Earth, into conduits in volcanoes, or cracks in monstrous bodies of ice. I dive below your homes, golf courses, and restaurants. I follow the trail of water wherever it guides me. And when the passages pinch impenetrably, the water still flows, emanating from some mysterious source. The journey is endless. It beckons me to dive deeper into what is humanly possible. I am not fearless. I am alive today because I've learned to embrace fear as a positive catalyst in my life. As I dwell on the threshold of darkness, I might be scared, but I don't run away. I dance in the joy of uncertainty. A lot of what we're facing today, I don't know about you, but at times recently I felt paralyzed, I guess, in a way, like maybe stuck on the news, just wanting to know what next. How many people are affected by this? What are the new guidelines for protecting ourselves and our families? What will Justin Trudeau say this morning? And that can really stop us from moving forward. Like, it's about waiting. Like, we're waiting for what comes next, and that's hard. I wrote a chapter called "Waiting," and it's about a friend whose husband doesn't return from a cave dive, and she's afraid something's happened, and she wonders, how long do you wait? Let me read to you from the open of that particular chapter. A sea covered in ice will ebb and flow, freeze and thaw, but eventually you have to decide to swim in it or retreat. Ever more aware of the boundaries set by Mother Nature and my own body, I was also discovering the limits of the human psyche. I prefer to be the explorer rather than the person left behind waiting. Waiting is painful. Waiting is filled with distress and denial. Waiting for Paul and the 𝘓𝘓𝘓 resurgence for hours while the muddy water climbed the gorge walls had been agony for me. Waiting to heal from a close call with the bends was filled with anguish. Waiting for my teammates to catch up with me while they risked their lives for a camera inside an iceberg is almost indescribable. When you are the person waiting, each moment stretches into eternity, and the voices inside your head threaten to take over your brain. Vivid worst-case scenarios emerge in your thoughts, and the longer you dwell on them, the more real they become. Waiting is always raw and emotional and hard. In the heat of the moment, you want time to speed up and come to a resolution. Yet, if the judgment is unfavorable, you beg for the reversal of time. Waiting is filled with what-ifs and if-onlys. Waiting is like the mythological figure Sisyphus, who would propel a massive boulder up a hill only to see the rock roll back down again over and over, consigned to an eternity of futile effort and constant frustration. In cave diving, waiting is cruelty and angst, followed by regret, culminating in life-changing moments, and sometimes Sisyphus's rock rolls back on top of you. And I kind of think that sums up how a lot of us feel right now. We feel like we're pushing Sisyphus's rock up that hill over and over and over again. And just when we've run out of strength, it seems at times that it wants to roll back on top of us. Well, I can tell you that from of the very, life-threatening experiences that I've had in the blackness of underwater caves, times when I didn't think that I was going to come out, one of the best strategies I've had for life is just to tell myself that I need to slow down, take a really deep breath, and force the emotions out of the way. And think about the next pragmatic small step that I can take towards success. Maybe for you that small step is just getting out of bed in the morning and making your bed. Maybe getting out of your PJs, taking a shower, and brushing your hair for the first time in 3 days. Well, I would like to tell you to please celebrate that success. It's a small step towards something positive. Maybe, the next step will be something better. Maybe a step will be getting a handle on how to find some resources to homeschool your kid for a lot longer than you ever thought you might have to. But think small and celebrate those small steps. I think that's really important. I've had experiences in cave diving that I would never, ever want to repeat. Those ones where I didn't think that I was going to get home, but I did learn something from those experiences, as we will all grow from these experiences that we're having now in the face of the coronavirus. It will make us stronger. It will make us more resilient. It will employ every bit of strength and that explorer's mindset that we have inside of us. I don't expect that you'll ever be a cave diver. Most of you that are listening will never want to go to that environment that I go to all the time, except maybe to read about it. But we all have dark caves in our life. And I wish you all the best at this time of darkness. Take a deep breath. Let the emotions get pushed aside and be an explorer today. Move pragmatically into the darkness. I assure you, your eyes will get accustomed to that new level of light, and you'll find some new discovery for yourself, for your family, maybe even for humanity. So be safe and well. I'm sorry I'm not with you in person at the Imagination Festival, but I'm grateful to have this opportunity to reach out to you virtually online. And if you feel like reading a little bit more, then please check out my book, Into the Planet, My Life as a Cave Diver. I'm Jill Heinerth, and if you want to learn more, also please visit my website, intotheplanet.com.